Yo, we are here in Akihabara, Tokyo, Japan, just one day after the release of The Glory of Team Rocket, Japan's newest Pokemon card set, which is going to be part of Destined Rivals come May. And today we're going to do something kind of fun. You know, on the channel sometimes we look at the day one card prices of the new Japanese sets, but we do it online. Today we get to do it in person. So we're going to go up to this building here, the 6th floor. We're going to visit Dragon Star. We're going to have a look at some of the card prices for the newest set. Let's go.
So the thing about Japanese Pokemon card stores is that they are very loud, very noisy places, and they often play a lot of music. And so we don't want to get hit by copyright here. I'm going to be dubbing over everything. But basically, the second you walk out of the elevator to Dragon Star, you're going to see this cabinet here, which is full of Pokemon. Now, Dragon Star is a really cool store because their prices are usually pretty competitive. Having said that, the first day or two, or even 3 or 4 after a new set comes out, everything is still pretty expensive. But when the dust settles, looking at cards from sets like Terrestrial Festival, you'll see that the prices do start to come down gradually. However, being one of the first stores that you'll see coming out of the Akihabara station area means that a lot of tourists are going to come to stores like this. And, you know, the stores are trying to make money. They're trying to target people that are coming from all around the world to buy Japanese Pokemon cards. So you're going to see prices kind of all over the place. And then sometimes you'll see like really solid stuff. I like the yellow sticker range. I spend a bit of time looking at yellow sticker cabinets just because you never know what you'll find inside. But this store, primarily modern. So being a modern collector, I have some of these cards. Some of these cards I'm probably going to come back to and buy maybe a year or two from now, just because I don't think now is a really great time to buy them. Stuff like that Psyduck there. But overall, this is a really solid store. You know, you find stacks of art rares. So if you're maybe trying to build a binder page, you know, I saw a comment recently on one of my videos, someone saying, oh, I don't understand why you would fill a binder with the same card over and over again. It feels like kind of pointless and it doesn't really feel like you're building the binder. But some people just like doing that, you know? I've got a few pages where I just have 9 of one card just because I really like the artist and I think it's really cool. So everybody does it differently at the end of the day. Dragon Star do have a bit of vintage, but it's not the deepest range. I'd say you're better off holding off from buying vintage and exploring the rest of Akihabara before you made any big purchases. Now, it actually took me a while to get to the Team Rocket cards because there are a lot of people inspecting cards and I didn't want to be a pain, but one whole section of the cabinet is dedicated to the latest set that comes out. This happens to be Glory of Team Rocket. So you can see all the different Rocket cards on display here. On one side, you'll see a bunch of playables, and then on the other, you'll see the EX cards slowly going from the full art into the SAR. It was cool just seeing like the employees working so rapidly, you know, restocking cards, even changing the prices. We did a live stream and I saw the prices that the store was willing to buy back from customers change in real time, which is really funny. But seeing them stock stuff, seeing just how much activity is happening on this second day, it's eye-opening and it's cool to see. You know, we know the Japanese Pokemon cards are thriving. We know Pokemon cards are just thriving all around the world, but to see like one of the most highly concentrated, I guess, otaku areas in Japan, especially for trading cards on the day or day after the release is just cool. There's a lot of energy, a lot of people buying, maybe people buying stuff that they probably shouldn't. You know, I've seen people just straight up hand over fist buy SARs. We know that the prices of those come down over time, but seeing everything laid out is really cool. I like just, I don't know, spending time looking at these cabinets and seeing things on display. I'm maybe a bit of a historian, you know, I like documenting and just having all the footage for things just in one spot. So this kind of like tickles a little part maybe in the back of my brain. But the prices for everything kind of speak for themselves. Like I said, this is day 1, this is day 2. I felt like that Nidoking was like pretty decently priced. So we'll see how much further it falls. I might even pick it up by the end of the trip. There is this other wall where you'll see their wanted list. So these are lists of cards that the store is trying to buy from people. So if you've got those cards, you can come in here, sell them. But I don't believe that Dragon Star buys from foreigners. Having said that, there are other stores through Akihabara that do. You couldn't buy boxes here. They had run lotteries. I didn't win any, so it'd just be like that. But the sign was still there. But yeah, overall, pretty solid store. And I expect to see the singles in Dragon Star come down over time.
All right, that took way too long because someone was inspecting literally every single art rare, which is just insane. Like, dude, it's day 2. You know how much cheaper these cards are gonna get. Why are you inspecting every art rare? So only got a little bit of time before getting to the next store, which closes at 8. We'll see if we can get in and have a look at anything. Now, I do want to actually come back here through to Haruruya too, because they are selling 5 packs of Team Rocket per person, but I think it might be too late. They might be sold out for the day. We're going to come back here before the next store closes because I don't want to miss out on that.
So the store that I actually wanted to visit was on the 4th floor, and you'll see here it's called Full Comp. It's a little bit further north of Akihabara, away from the station. Usually you have to go up a whole bunch of stairs. This one was on level 4. Unfortunately, they didn't let me film, so that happens sometimes. But there was another store here called Toiga TCG that was on level 3, and they were holding maybe a league night or, you know, just a small little store tournament. They actually had a surprising amount of cards on display, and you'll see now that different stores have different prices, and the disparity, it just changes all through the street. But, you know, not by a whole lot. Cards are maybe like 10 or 20% one way or the other. But they had a decent amount of stock, especially for a pretty small store, so it was cool to see it on display. I'm really liking that Rockets Giovanni, the SAR. Very nice, colorful card. But again, I still think that's got a way to fall. That Moltres obviously is like stunning. I haven't really talked about these cards on the channel, so every time I see that Moltres, I'm like, damn, that is fire. It's Akira Egawa, so no surprises. The Blaziken is super clean too. And those Meowths, I'd seen them for like 3,500 yen, starting to come down, you know, and the same for the Wobbuffet, which is probably my favorite card from the set.
We are at Surugaya now. We're going to give this place a go. Usually pretty solid when it comes to secondhand cards. Vintage stuff specifically, so don't know what it's going to look like for day 2 or the day after a new set release, but you don't know unless you go and have a look. Isn't that right, chat?
So Surugaya are, let's say, hit and miss, you know. Usually you're going to see a lot of vintage in these stores because they're a secondhand card store, so a lot of buyback, a lot of sellback happening in these kind of stores. The Rocket display was pretty small, you know, maybe like 4 cards that weren't EXs, and then, you know, maybe like a couple of SRs, so like not the biggest display of the latest set, but maybe to be expected. They did have a lot of vintage though, so, and that's kind of like why you come into Surugaya. Like, you're not really going to Surugaya to get day 1 release cards, you know. People are probably selling to the stores that are offering more. I don't think Surugaya is probably giving really competitive rates for modern cards, and that's why you're not seeing a lot on the shelves, because the stores aren't opening packs to get cards to put on the shelves to sell. They're just selling what people are selling to them. So that's why you're probably seeing a lot of vintage, because over time they've accumulated all these different cards from people. You know, it could be a combination of maybe, you know, families or parents or kids that don't really know what they've got and are just looking for somewhere to offload it. You go to the store that you're most familiar with dealing with secondhand goods, which happens to be Surugaya. And that's why you find so many cool cards, but also why you still see so much stuff there, because maybe their prices are a little off, you know, 25,000 yen for that Southern Islands postcard with the Mew. It's pretty expensive. They did have some modern. If you're going to drop that much money, you're probably not spending it at Surugaya. So look, really cool for vintage, but yeah, wouldn't go here for modern on day 1.
You know, I refuse to believe that this place is actually that good. There's always a huge line for it. Being here that many times, still never visited. Anyway, next up is Hareruya 2. I'm sure you guys have seen this place in videos before. This is probably one of the most goated stores in Akihabara, just because they've been selling 5 packs per person per day, 2 days in a row. So I'm gonna come back tomorrow and try and get 5. I came on Friday, successful. Today was too hot, I gave up. We're gonna try again tomorrow, but we're gonna look and see what the single prices are like in here.
So Hareruya 2 are a very interesting store. They're only relatively new, having opened up this store in Akihabara, I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago. Traditionally, they deal with Magic the Gathering, but they've obviously gotten really big into Pokemon. Now, being one of the flagship stores in Akihabara now, naturally they have a lot of Team Rocket. These guys were actually selling 5 packs of Team Rocket per person per day for Friday and Saturday, which was pretty cool. Coming here late in the evening, I actually missed out, so that was a bit of annoying. What you may have noticed though, looking through this Team Rocket cabinet, is that there are no prices on the cards, not even for the rares and the uncommons. And that's because a lot of the prices are on the computer for the newest sets. You know, the situation is fluid, the prices are constantly shifting, so rather than change stickers over and over again, they just put them on the computer database and you buy them there. But they have prices on all of this modern stuff that you've been looking at here. So you know, the stuff that has already come out and is kind of where the dust has settled, like I was saying a little bit earlier in Dragon Star. They have a lot of PSA slabs, and I feel like that's where their prices can sometimes be crazy. I didn't look at all their PSA slabs in the cabinet. There is another one, but it had some absolutely wild prices for some PSA 8 VS cards when I was looking on the stream the other day. So let's say you did come here and you wanted to pick up some of those Team Rocket cards that we were looking at before. On level 1 and level 2, you'll see these computers, they're around the store, and if you go to them and navigate to the set that you're looking for, or even use their search function, I'm not sure if they have an English option on this website, you'll basically see the cards listed there, you know, the price, the amount of stock, and you just scroll through, you know, it's as if you're on Card Rush or something, buying cards back home from Japan, and you just add them to your cart like you would, just casually get a few of that Mewtwo SAR. And then once you make the order, you'll get like a number, which you then take up to the buy floor. Once they prepare your order, you'll be ready to go and you get your cards and get out of there. It's a pretty efficient system when you think about it, and it kind of minimizes the back and forth between the employees and customers, and probably just works for Haruruya. So no complaints. I actually quite like this, although I do like seeing the sticker prices. You'll see them as the weeks go by though.
You know, I gotta be completely honest with you, so far, it's looking pretty barren when it comes to singles for this set. And I think that's a combination of a bunch of different reasons. You know, it's hard to get. You saw, if you're watching the live stream on Friday, the day 1 release here in Akihabara, that it was tough to find packs anywhere, let alone boxes. So that maybe there's not a whole lot of packs getting open, and so there's not a lot of sell back to the stores so far. Different stores have different amounts of stock, like Dragon Star probably had the healthiest that we saw. Card Rush above it, who don't let you film inside, had a bunch of cards too. Haruruya, like I said, like a lot of their stock is probably behind the counter at this point with no sticker prices on the cards. So it is kind of there, but of course, looking at the smaller stores, some of the shelves are completely barren. That'll change over the week. But like when I was walking through here earlier today at about 4 or 5 p.m, you know, I saw a bunch of cards in a little stall there, and they were cheaper than anywhere that I've showed you in this video right now. So they're out there, and I think as the days go by and more people open up packs, we'll see more of it. But that's what it's like for now. If you enjoyed the vid, you want to see more of this stuff, I am live streaming in Japan here on YouTube, but primarily at twitch.tv/OKJLove. And in the meantime, you can check out a whole bunch of videos of me trekking through Japan. There will be a big Tokyo series coming soon. Until next time, peace out, take care, subscribe, I'll see you in the next one.